life worth living. That Germany, country that is able to perform, give space to their citizens, to their workers. Useful language learning tip would be talk to yourself in a different language, just your thoughts. Try to keep your thoughts in a different language. The sum of small actions can have big effects in your life. It will somehow start adding up.
Welcome to our third episode of Voices of Anhalt, the podcast where we'll make your voices heard. Today I'm sitting here with my guest, Sebastian. Welcome, Sebastian.
Hello, Florian. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Honored to be here with you. Definitely looking forward to this podcast. You know, it's the first time that I participate in a podcast.
I'm glad we can do this. And this will be our last episode of this year, so we're coming close to the Christmas break. Maybe we can start by introducing you. Who are you? What are you doing at our university?
For sure. Yeah, so my full name is Juan Sebastian Molano Cortez. I come from Colombia. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I'm studying here in Hochschule Anhalt, Biomedical Engineering.
A mechanical engineer. That means you studied mechanical engineering in your bachelor's.
That is correct.
How did you end up here at Hochschule Anhalt?
Well, as a mechanical engineer, you always imagine Germany as a country of very high precision engineering, a country of excellent engineering. Because of that, I always had the goal, like since the beginning of my bachelor's, I had the goal to eventually come to Germany. That's part of the reason why from the beginning of the studies, I tried to learn German.
Okay.
With probably you know it, Duolingo. It's a free tool. Alongside my bachelor's, I always was trying to learn a little bit of German.
Did you have like German in high school, for example?
No.
And you decided specifically for Germany? I mean, there are other countries like France, Spain, I don't know, England. Why Germany?
In my opinion, I always saw Germany as the best country for engineering. I would say maybe Germany and Japan could be in my consideration two of the best countries for mechanical engineering, for high precision, quality design and engineering. I also had the opportunity to do my internship semester in the United States.
Oh,
So
okay.
as part of this, I also got to experience the work-life balance in the States, how it is to work for an American company, and that's when I also decided, like, it reaffirmed my desire to go more in this direction of Germany than America or Japan.
And why though? Because the situation in the US was so different than you imagined it to be in Germany?
Yeah, so definitely the United States has in my opinion, a problem with balancing the desire to increase their GDP and the free will of their citizens. You know, like when you measure the productivity and a country just by metrics,
Yeah.
you might overglaze, you might not pay attention to factors such as happiness, life satisfaction, family, things that in my opinion play a way bigger role in what makes a life worth living. And that's why I decided to maybe, and I always heard that Germany, at least in this regard, had a much better outcome, a country that is able to perform, but at the same time give space to their citizens, to their workers, to have time for themselves.
And you did this during your bachelor's. Where did you go in the US?
Probably some of the people listening to this podcast might know there's this place. It's called Palm Beach.
Yeah. It's in Florida, right?
Yeah, it's in Florida. It's a very famous place because there is like a lot of rich people have houses in this place.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's where I did my internship. My job was to go to some of these houses.
And what did you do there? Like, what was your position?
As part of these, I was participating in projects. So there would be like a head engineer, and we would go into these houses because they would be under construction. And the main focus of the company I was working for was marble manufacturing, marble production. So they would take care of entire rooms, entire areas are just made out of marble. That was what we were doing. So I had the opportunity to go inside these homes, take a look how the 1% of the 1% of the American population live in.
You share some names with us, or is that forbidden?
One of the most notable houses that I went into was the house of Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yeah, like he has a house in Jupiter,
Yeah.
which is like it's not precisely the island of Palm Beach, but it's in West Palm Beach. This house was just ridiculous, like
Yeah.
this house
I can imagine.
honestly is just
Did you ever meet him?
no, because exactly like when the people that are doing construction, that are doing like engineering, that are building things, he's not there.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the.
I thought that sometimes that he might have come to, oversee the construction or something like that.
No. At that level, they don't want to know anything about it. They just want to be
Yeah.
there when the house is ready.
I
So,
guess there's one thing that money does. It buys you, peace of mind that
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about anything anymore. Okay, so a nice experience in the US, and then afterwards, did you go back? We haven't said it yet. You're from Colombia,
Colombia,
right?
that's correct. I was born in the capital, in Bogota,
Yeah.
but I lived in Medellin, a city that many people know, primarily not for the good things.
They know it from Netflix, right?
Yeah, they know it for the bad side.
Yeah.
But I would definitely invite people to take a look into Medellin, to take a look into Colombia, because it's truly a very beautiful country.
Yeah.
The second country in the world with the most biodiversity. That means that
I didn't know that.
has the most animals, the most flowers, the most types of climates. Like 1 hour drive, you can go from desert to snow. Definitely, people should explore this country primarily for the nature, and secondarily for the people. I think the people, overall Latin people, are very very warm.
And then afterwards, you finished your bachelor's. Did you like work after your bachelor's
Yeah.
for a couple of years, or
Yeah.
what did you do?
Yeah, so I came back from the States. I started to work. Well, I came back, graduated, did my last semester, and started to work. I started to work in sales. So essentially, I was in charge of talking, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So talking with people, showing them products, and the goal was, of course, to close a sale. I think that this experience in particular, I am very grateful. It was also part of my education.
Yeah.
Like, one thing is to learn engineering, which is very very important, but to learn how to communicate, how
Mhm.
to talk to people, how to close a deal. Like many times in life, a lot of things have involve closing a deal.
And language is a key to that. I assume,
Yeah.
I mean, your native language is Spanish then,
Yeah,
and you do speak English and German?
I do speak some German.
Some German?
Some German. I would say I'm still in the process of improving my German.
Okay, and at what point did you decide, okay, I want to go to Germany now? How did this come about, this decision for Germany and doing a master's here at Anhalt?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. And I would say that what I was waiting for is, because for us international students to come, we need to have a Sperrkonto.
Yes.
We need to have a blocked account. And this blocked account has to have around 11 to 12,000.
At the moment, it's 11,904 euros, but it's likely to increase because this is
Yeah.
usually tied to the German BAföG system.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever BAföG goes up, also the Sperrkonto goes up. I know this from my work at the international office that a lot of students always have the problem with the Sperrkonto because you have to present it every time you renew your visa.
Yeah.
So you spend some time to gather the money for the blocked account.
Precisely, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the main, after you get your bachelor's, the main challenge after that is to have the money. 12,000 euros in Colombia is like
A lot.
60, 70 million minimum salary. It's around 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 50 times minimum wage
Wow.
in Colombia.
Wow.
So it was not easy. Most I did save, but of course, thankfully I was able to get some help, and otherwise it would have taken longer.
That's a good question, longer, because like in the last episode, we also talked about the visa process. How was the visa process for a Colombian?
In Colombia, there is only one embassy
Yeah.
in Bogota, which means that for me to apply, I had to do a trip to Bogota, get a hotel,
Yeah.
stay there, and of course I was very nervous for this interview. And when I was there, I came with around 10,000 or 11,000.
Mm-hmm.
And in the interview, the embassy representative, the person,
Yeah.
told me, can you get 12?
What are these interviews like? Because I've never asked a student
Yeah.
this. Like, what do they do in these interviews? Do they ask you like tricky questions to find out if you're like a criminal or something, or how does this work? What do they actually want to find out with this interview?
They just want your paperwork to be in order.
Yeah.
So they just want to make sure that your bachelor's diploma is correct, that it's not a fake diploma,
Yeah.
that you have the money, that your papers are in order, that that you were accepted by a university.
That's a
And
good point.
yeah.
At the time that you applied for the visa, did you already have Anhalt University in mind, or do you have to decide before you come which university you're applying to?
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of a particularly complicated process for me because I had two universities that I had in mind. At the moment, I was unsure in which one I was gonna go because it was two different degrees. This uncertainty at the moment of going to the embassy was what kind of led to some, let's say, stress from my
Stress.
part. Yeah,
Okay.
like worrying on my end. But thankfully everything went well. I was accepted by, there is this application portal. That
UniAssist, you mean?
UniAssist, yeah, there is UniAssist,
Yeah.
and you just apply to universities. I got accepted to Hochschule Anhalt, and I got accepted in another university in Heidelberg.
Yeah.
But the degree there was like Technische Informatik,
Yeah.
which is not particularly what I'm interested in because I'm a mechanical engineer. So I had Technische Informatik, or I have Medicine Technique or Biomedical Engineering. Yeah, and I decided to go forward with Biomedical Engineering.
I'm not an engineer. I studied business studies myself. So is mechanical engineering closely related to biomedical engineering? Do these two mix well?
So mechanical engineering particularly is one of these degrees that opens so many doors of like specialization, you know,
Yeah.
because it teaches you such a fundamentals of engineering that people that do mechanical engineering many times afterwards they open into so many branches of engineering. In my opinion, in my perception, biomedical engineering is really well suited, you know, is really well suited because there is this whole area of biomechanics, robotics, augmented human behavior, you know, like
Yeah.
augmented motion.
These are all future employment markets. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what all the hype is. Many of these topics of how can we take the human body and make it better, how can we use science and engineering to give us like superpowers per se, you know. and
That's interesting. Yeah.
and what's the area, like the degree that better fits this desire.
Interesting. So you've got your visa now, and then you come to Anhalt. Do you still remember your first day at Anhalt University? Tell us about it. What did you think when you first arrived in Köthen?
It was actually a bit interesting because before coming here I had to do like Medellin,
Yeah.
Cancun.
Okay.
So I first had
You
to go
flew
to
to
Mexico.
Mexico?
Yeah, first
Yeah.
to Mexico, then Mexico.
Because there are no direct flights to
it's like
Colombia?
it's like the cheapest
Ah, okay.
option. You know, it's like
Clever.
the best deal.
Yeah.
Cancun, Amsterdam,
Oh.
Berlin,
And then from Berlin with the train to Köthen.
and then exactly. So it was definitely a long journey. I arrived at like 4 or 5 a.m.
In the morning.
in the morning. Yeah, it was like
Okay.
I think I took the first train that goes from Berlin to
Yeah.
to Köthen. Maybe around 4 or 5 in the morning. I was here. I remember that the sun was rising. Like
Mhm.
I arrived here and the sun was just starting to rise, and
Was this in the summer or in the winter?
it was April.
April.
Yeah,
Okay.
so thankfully it was not
Not that cold anymore.
Not that cold anymore. Yeah, and I had my bag full with electronics. You know,
Yeah.
like some people when they travel, they fill it with clothes, memories of their country. I don't know, food
Yeah.
maybe. Mine was computer, power supplies, chips, and you know, I essentially most of the weight of my bag was just electronics. So I had this big bag. I did bring some clothes, and then I just had to walk.
Did
to
you
the-
have like your dorm room already secured?
No. Actually, because of the confusion with the two universities I had,
Yeah.
I booked an Airbnb.
Because that's usually a point that some of the international students struggle with.
Yeah.
The question is, when do I start looking for a dorm room? So
Yeah.
my recommendation at this point is if you want to start a semester and have to apply like 2 or 3 months in advance at least.
Yeah.
So you came and stayed at the
Really?
Airbnb
Yeah.
for how long?
For like a week, 2 weeks. It was not too long,
Yeah.
but it was very expensive in comparison
Yeah.
to the prices that we pay here in the Wohnheim, in the dorm. I had the location of the Airbnb, and I just started to walk, you know. And
Yeah.
and the most vivid memory I have is the sound of the bag
Yeah.
with these German stones. You know
Yeah.
the German.
The cobblestone
Yeah, the
streets.
cobblestone is like.
Yeah.
And that's the memory I have, you know, like feeling like, okay, I'm here in Germany. I arrived doing my dream,
Yeah.
what I wanted, but I'm tired.
Can
I've been
imagine, yeah.
traveling so long, and I hear this of the backpack, and it was quite a long walk. I mean, because for some reason, Köthen has the train station right on one edge,
Yeah.
so to come to the Airbnb, it was maybe like a 20-25 minute walk. I walk a bit extra. I
Yeah.
didn't know the fastest path. It was definitely an interesting experience.
Yes. Medellin. How many people live in Medellin? Like 10 million or something?
No, we have 4 million.
4 million.
4 million in the metropolitan area.
How was life different from coming from a city of millions to Köthen with like, I don't know, 40,000 people?
You know, living here, you hear a lot of opinions, right? Like a lot of people, they don't like it. They don't like living in a small town. But I am one of the people that truly loves being
Okay.
in a small town. I truly love the silence, the peace. Like you can hear birds.
Did you research Köthen
Yeah,
before?
I know.
So that's why I'm always surprised when I hear some international students say, yeah, we're here in Köthen and it's very small and quiet. And I'm thinking, did they never try to research it before they come here?
Mhm. I don't know. I'm very, very grateful to Hochschule Anhalt, to Germany, to the people of Sachsen-Anhalt, and I truly, truly like this city, and I will always remember Köthen as my alma mater. You know,
Nice, nice.
for example, the Wohnheim.
Yeah.
In front of the Wohnheim 6,
Yeah.
we have this lake. It's so peaceful. If you ever feel stressed with university, with life, with whatever, you can just open the door and go for a nice walk. If you walk a little bit more to the right, then there is the forest, this small forest in the middle.
Yeah, the Tierpark.
Yeah, the Tierpark. Also, it feels like you're in the middle of a forest. Like if you wouldn't think twice, you could get lost like in this little forest, and I really, really like that.
It's nice to hear that you enjoy living in Köthen.
Yeah.
So tell us about your studies. You're studying biomedical engineering. Is there any particular part of it that you appreciate the most? What is it like studying biomedical engineering at Anhalt?
For example, one of the benefits of the university, I don't know if it's every German university. This is the experience that I have with Hochschule Anhalt, is that because it's not such a large university, because there are not hundreds of students, you get to develop this close connection with the professors, with
Yeah.
the students, with the people who work in the university. You see them because it's also not a big town, so you see them when you go out.
Yes.
When you go to a store, maybe you will cross paths with people from the university, and what that allows is that they give you freedom to work with equipment.
Yeah.
You know, there is equipment that in my university you had to book an appointment, make a list, reservation, ask for permission. There should be somebody watching you.
Yeah.
Here they just, okay, you wanna do this? Here's the machine. Oh, you're interested in doing research on electromyography, which is like a type of biological signal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here you have to give you the equipment, and then you do some research. It's like a 10,000 euro, you know.
Yeah, and they trust you with
and
it.
they trust you with it, exactly. Something I really like of the German culture is that there is like a culture of trust, you know, of trusting people a little bit more in comparison to maybe Latin America.
Is that true? Is that like a really a general cultural thing, or do you think this has to do with the university?
For example, an example I would put is the hospital, right?
Okay.
In Colombia, for you to enter the hospital, there is a security guard in the door, and he will ask you, who are you, where are you going, why,
Okay.
and he will validate. Hospital here, you can just go in, you know. You just go in, because I took classes in the hospital.
Or you did here at the hospital in Köthen?
Yeah, as part of the biomedical engineering. I had a couple classes in the hospital,
Oh,
and
tell us about it.
that was something that shocked me, is that you just enter the hospital and you're like,
Yeah.
I need to go to this room, and you're finding your own way through like a hospital, which is something that would never happen in Colombia. Somebody would probably guide you through where you want to go. This is just an example of many things I see throughout the culture of trusting a little bit more trust towards the people, that the people are not going to do bad things. The society has definitely a bit more trust towards their citizens of doing the right thing.
It's very interesting to hear that, because me as a German, we never perceive it that way.
Yeah.
And that's why it's always very interesting to me to hear what we Germans are really like. What would you say is like typical German?
Well, there are many ways of answering that question. Of course, you would imagine physical aspects, but also personality aspects, right? I would say they are very structured, organized.
Mhm.
Like in a way, structure. Everything has a process.
Except for Deutsche Bahn.
That's your opinion as a German.
Yeah.
For me, Deutsche Bahn is extremely
Is it?
organized. Yeah. As a foreigner, that compared to my country, I would say that Deutsche Bahn can be extremely organized. Like, at what time the train is going to come. Okay, maybe 20-30% of the time it's not on time. But the fact that sometimes it is, I like to travel. So
Yeah.
I have gone like far away just taking the train with the German Deutschland ticket.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that it works, the fact that you can take one train and the next one and the next one, and you
Yeah.
can take 5 trains, and most of them arrive on time.
Most
to-
of them. Voices of Anhalt is a podcast produced by the International Office of Anhalt University of Applied Sciences. If you would like to find out more about the International Career Service or our FITTER project, please write an email to fitter@hs-anhalt.de. Talk to you soon. You said you traveled around Germany. Which one was your favorite city? Like, you've been to all the
Dresden.
major ones?
I would say Dresden.
Dresden.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Dresden was really, really nice.
Because of the old architecture and stuff?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, because of the architecture, Hamburg has a lot of really good things about it,
yeah.
especially in the summer. And then Köthen, I would say Köthen also has.
I was waiting for that answer.
I would also say Köthen has a lot of things to offer.
So whenever you talk with like friends and family back home, do they even know where Köthen is? And no.
The best way I can tell them where Köthen is 2 hours away from Berlin.
That's what everyone always says. Yes.
Yeah.
Has your family ever visited you here?
Yeah, actually, my mother lives in Portugal.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she came this semester, a couple months ago,
Yeah.
for the first time to Köthen, and she
Nice.
liked it. Yeah, she liked
Nice.
it too.
Earlier you said that you worked at the hospital in Köthen. Tell us about it. What did you do there?
Okay, so there's this class. It's called Intensive Care Technology,
Yeah.
which is all the machines and devices that a hospital has when a person needs intensive care. Like the person who gave us this class was a doctor, and actually is the director of the hospital.
Of the hospital in Köthen?
Yeah, the hospital,
Okay.
the Helios Clinic here in Köthen. The person in charge of the hospital was the one who gave us the class.
That's really first-hand experience, isn't it?
When I found out that the professor was the director of the hospital, I was like, are you sure that my professor is the one in
Yeah.
charge of this hospital? And yeah, he was. He explained the working of a device like in a physics
Mhm.
kind of point of view, not just medical, not just mechanical or engineering,
Yeah.
but like the physics behind of how an ultrasound works, how
Yeah.
an infusion pump works. Like it was very good.
And you had to go to the hospital and then like fit some devices onto patients, or how did that work?
No, that would be against insurance, against the
Yeah.
paperwork. It wouldn't-
Welcome to
yeah.
Germany.
Yeah, no. But he would take us to like 2 different rooms. So one was a seminar room where
Yeah.
he would teach us essentially, and in the next one was like a room of the hospital where they had the machines where they would normally take care of patients, but for this particular class, for that particular hour and day, the room would be empty.
Mm-hmm.
And he would like show us, okay, this machine, this is what it does. We wouldn't interact with the patients, but we would interact with the machines that would otherwise be interacting with the patients.
And now the biggest question: the lectures that he gave, were they in German or in English?
In English.
I don't know what your plans for the future are. Are you planning to stay in Germany?
Yeah.
So that means at some point you will have to. I mean, we already know you did, but you need to speak some German. So I just wanted to ask about like being in an English speaking program. Does this have any consequences on not being able to learn enough German for everyday life?
I think that it does play a big role. Yeah, definitely. I feel like when you're forced to use German
Yeah.
every day, then you will improve. You have to improve. But because the English program lets us keep using this other language, definitely there are some students that come to Germany and have no knowledge of the German language. And at the end of the program, they have improved because living here, you are going to improve. But if they haven't put all the effort necessary, they might not be at the point where they can have a full conversation at a high level. So I think that's where programs like the FITTER program or programs like as part of our biomedical engineering, we have to take 2 German classes, but the option is there to take 4. So every semester you can take
Yeah.
a German class.
So when you started out, like when you came to Germany, you had like a A2 level of German, or
I have B2.
now? I mean, right now, but
No, when I came, I
oh, you
also
already
B2.
had B2.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that makes a lot of things easier, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Interacting with the Ausländerbehörde, things like that.
Yeah, it has made the process a lot much more enjoyable. Definitely having German has been a great tool, great asset.
So, despite having B2 level, did you participate like in any German courses in Germany?
Yeah, I mean, I took them because I wanted to improve my German, but also because they're mandatory. So 2 of these classes you have to participate to graduate, and the other ones I took just for self-improvement.
Do you like in your spare time interact with like German people a lot? Do you have German friends,
Yeah.
or do you talk to the people on the streets? Like,
Well, I talk sometimes with the people, and sometimes the people talk to you. Like you would be surprised.
in a good way or in a negative way?
In a good way. Like in the supermarket, sometimes there is like a grandma or a grandpa that would be very, very kind to you. They would
Yeah.
say something to you, just friendly chit chat. But I also do have German friends, and I try to talk with them in German because they also speak English. So it's kind of like it makes it a bit harder when.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get this a lot, that you would assume when you come to a new country, you're trying to adapt to the new language. But then the one thing that Germans always do is like when they see, oh, yeah, this is a foreigner, they switch to English. On the one hand, they're trying to, accommodate you and make you feel welcome. But on the other hand, it's also that you're not being forced to speak the language, right? That's the way I learned English, for example. I went abroad and I was in a situation where I know I have no chance to speak my native language now. So I have to use the language, and whether I'm making mistakes or not doesn't matter. I sometimes have to use the language. So it's sometimes Germans are trying to be nice, but they're achieving the exact opposite.
I mean, I would say, it is what it is. You just have to accept that a lot of people in Germany are bilingual. They will speak English because they can, right? So what you have to do is just keep pushing your own. Like if you want to speak German, just push that you will keep the conversation in German. Yeah, and just work hard. Just like at home, try to study, try to keep learning on your own. Another useful language learning tip would be like talk to yourself in a different language. Like just your thoughts. Try to like keep your thoughts in a different language. That I find can be even more useful than having a conversation with someone else, because
Interesting.
when you talk with someone else, it's something that comes and goes. But if you try to train to talk yourself in a different language, you can do that every day, every hour. You can.
I haven't thought about that, but it's a very, very good idea.
Every action that you're doing, there is this little person inside of you that is thinking, that is talking, and just make this subconscious version of yourself to speak to you in German, and that will help you learn and improve.
Okay, I mean, you're in the fourth semester right now. That means you will be graduating soon. Have you already started working on your thesis?
Yeah.
So, are you writing your thesis with a company or?
So because at the moment I'm working with the university,
Ah, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
which is maybe a topic that we can also get into. I decided to do my thesis with the university.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it with a company, which is also an option that many students take,
Do you
which is
know about like your fellow students? Do
yeah,
some of them have
yeah,
companies?
yeah, yeah. Many students actually they do the 3 semesters,
Yeah.
and in the fourth one they move to another city to do their master thesis with that company in
Yeah.
their city. I think it's a great option. Like it's a great opportunity. Sometimes they get paid for these master theses.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, and I think it's great. But doing it with the university also has an advantage, which is that it gives you the option to choose your own topic. You know,
Yeah.
like
You're working for the university, you said. Tell us about that. Like, what is it that you do at the university? Like, what kind of position do you have here?
yeah. So I am project Mitarbeiter, which is like project employee for the university.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I work with a project where we are exploring 3D printing with metal. We are
Okay.
exploring how we can optimize the printing of aluminum, particularly for improving the performance of the metal to ensure that it will do like it will not break, it will work, it will
Yeah.
withstand the stresses, it will withstand the dynamic loads. That's the main goal.
And now the biggest question, of course, the audience has at this point is how did you find this job at the university? Because we have lots of international students that come to us and say, "Ah, do you have a job for us?" And of course, the positions at the university are limited. So,
Yeah.
how did you find this? How was this coincidence, or were you a student assistant before? How did this come about?
It's interesting story. There was a time where I was like, how did I get this job? You know, like I was
Yeah.
also asking myself, how did you
How
know?
did I end up here?
Yeah, like so. What happened was this: I came. I was very excited to be in Germany. I
Yeah.
was like trying to give my 100%, do the best at everything. There's this book. It's called Atomic Habits. Right?
Okay.
It tells you that the sum of small actions can have big effects in your life.
That's a
Right?
good quote.
Yeah. Everything that you do on your daily life, you know, like from the way you tie your shoes to the way you organize your closet
Hmm.
to the way you eat to the way you talk with people to the everything. If every single thing you try to optimize,
Yeah.
it will somehow start adding up and it will have an effect in your life. What happened was that I just started to try to do my best, you know, and the first step was I ended up getting this student assistant job, right?
Okay.
So
With
I got
with a professor or
yeah, I got this student assistant job with Professor Brazio.
yeah.
I think it was partially because I was being active in class. I was definitely getting good grades.
So was he actively looking for a student assistant, or did you just go up to him after election and said, "Do you have a job for me?"
It was more like I was in the lab every day, you know,
Yeah.
and in the computer. And a couple times he saw me building my resume, right?
Hmm.
Like on the computer, just
Yeah.
working on my resume. And he would ask me like, "Why are you?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here in Germany, but I also need a job, right?"
Yeah.
That's how it started. So just from that, eventually, previous students from previous semesters that were his student assistants
Hmm.
were graduating. It came the opportunity for me to be the next one.
That because that's usually the way it works. That you get to know a professor, you prove yourself to the professor, you show them that you're active, that you have good marks, and then you can approach them and ask for a student assistant job.
Yeah, but sometimes I like when you're looking for something, you know.
It's gonna find you.
Yeah, kind of. So it's like manifesting in a way, you could say. If you just give your 100%, if you just try really hard to optimize different areas of your life, things will start happening. So this situation with the professor happened, and then the way that we come to the job,
Yeah.
Project Mitarbeiter, is that I was doing the same for a German class. Like one of the mandatory German classes
Okay.
was I was also trying to do my best, you know. At one point, the professor offered us, okay, as part of the German class, we're gonna do a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a presentation about Medellin,
Okay.
and I prepare. Like, you know, I did one of these presentations where things move.
Fancy.
Yeah, like unnecessary, just like the images move and the slides transition into each other,
Yeah.
you know? And the professor really liked it. And out of this, he offered me to be the moderator for the first international day.
The International Student Day.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he liked the presentation, liked the way I was doing it, and he offered me this presentation. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Just like this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like somebody offers you, hey, do you want to do this? And you're like,
You
yeah.
took the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So I took the opportunity to do this presentation, and I went in front of a full room.
How many people were there? Like
I don't
hundreds?
know. But yeah, probably.
Wow.
It was like a big,
And you had to do it in German.
and it was in German. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was definitely a very nerve-wracking.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, but once you stand there, once you're in front of the people, you kind of lose a little bit this nervousness, and you just start flowing.
Voices of Anhalt. Voices of Anhalt. So you presented there, and then
I presented there, and I also tried to do my best with the presentation, and people liked it. I mentioned that one of my previous jobs, after graduation, was sales.
yeah,
Right? It's like I always had in mind that some universities had robotics clubs.
yeah.
You know, and I really like robotics. You know what? It would be great if Hochschule Anhalt had a robotics club.
So you just started your own?
So I wanted to create I wanted to create
Nice.
a robotics
Yeah.
club. I was like, so after the presentation, the moderation day,
Yeah,
Professor Bakhtan came to us.
Yeah.
It was me and another student who were presenting, and in German, I did like a 1 minute pitch of
Okay.
of
Of your idea.
of the robotics club idea. You
Nice.
know, I was like, Professor Bakhtan, you know, robotics plays a big role in engineering and the future of humanity, and I think that it would be great to have a robotics club. We would just need like a room and your approval, and we could start working and gathering people interested in this topic, and we could do robotics. And he was like, yeah, sounds interesting. Send me an email.
Okay.
Right?
And you did. And that
You
email
know?
changed everything.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, this is kind of how sales go. Also,
Yeah.
in this selling job, it's like people don't rarely are like, okay, let's do it. Normally, they just tell you, send me an email. So I prepared this really nice email of
Yeah.
like why robotics is important and why we should have a robotics club and why I would dedicate my time for free. And no reply.
No
answer,
reply.
no
For how
reply.
long?
In sales, you learn, okay, no reply.
Yeah, but you can imagine
You
that
know?
as the president of the university, he
Yeah,
gets
he's
like
busy,
200
of
mails
course.
a day.
Of course, you know. So I was like, it's understandable. I just waited like 2 weeks,
Mhm.
which is approximately a good amount of time for waiting. And then you do the second email.
Yeah.
If in the second email they don't reply, that's kind of like it, you know?
That's also a very good advice for applications in
For
general.
job applications. Like many times, if you're looking for a job, just approach people and maybe they will say yes, you know? 2 weeks later, I sent him the second email.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know you're very important, like you're busy, but if you have any time, just let me know what you think about this robotics club idea.
Yeah.
No reply. And I was like, okay, well, I try. And I moved on with my life. I just kept on going to class, just
Yeah.
living life. And then like 4 months later, like
4 months later?
Yeah, like 4 months later, like a long time later, 4 or 5 months later,
Mhm.
I got an email directly from Professor Bakhtan, who was like, we are doing this research.
Mhm.
If this is something that you would be interested in, maybe you can contact this person.
Yeah.
Like if you're a good fit for this, send him your information.
Yeah.
You might be a good fit.
I bet he remembered you from that day
Exactly.
when he talked to you.
Exactly. That's what I think. Maybe one day he was like, okay, we have this project of aluminum 3D printing. I remember there was one student who was very interested into robotics, into a similar topic. He was a mechanical engineer. I think he just remembered that there was this student that could be a good fit and sent me to the person, and maybe the other person also thought, I mean, they review my resume.
Mhm.
I tried to have a good resume. They review my resume, my cover letter, all
So
my
you had to
papers.
submit all of these
Yeah.
documents to the university.
Yeah, I had to do like the whole application process.
Have you had any experience with applying in Germany before, or was this the first time you applied for a job?
No, I did apply. I did apply to some companies. I had some interviews. Yeah, but I hadn't had a job before. This was my first job, other than the student assistant job. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. To our audience out there, this is how you find a job at university. You present yourself, you impress people, and if the opportunity arises, they will remember you.
I think the key is atomic habits. Like just every single thing that you do, try to do it the best way, optimize every action, and the world itself will notice.
Yeah.
The world will notice, and things will, like the goals that you have, will just happen. You need to build up to that point. So just every day, just try to wake up, put your shoes in the like. Some people get home and they just throw their shoes. Maybe just put the shoes in the place.
Yeah.
And maybe afterwards just organize. And when you start doing this with every aspect of your life,
Then it will work out eventually.
I
Yeah.
believe that eventually things will happen.
That's
for
a
you.
very nice take on life. But at this project, what is it exactly that you do there as a Projektmitarbeiter?
There's this tool that is called finite element analysis. It's like a method in which computers are able to simulate mechanical behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you can achieve this is we are able to simulate the 3D printing process through a computer. So
Okay.
before we waste metal, before we waste material, before we print something, we can simulate how it's going to behave, if it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And we can save money just by running a computer simulation. This is called finite element analysis. It's primarily done, it's for everything, like every car, every motor, every mechanical part that is done in mass has to be analyzed, has to be tested. And the way to
Yeah.
test this is primarily done with a finite element analysis.
And you work like how many hours do you work there? Because I know that as a student, you're not allowed to work full time, right?
Correct. So I work 40 hours per month,
Yeah.
so around 10 hours per week.
After you graduate, is the plan to become a full employee of the university, or what are your plans for the future? Maybe a PhD?
Hello, and welcome to a short info break. I'm Anne, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there for this episode. Nevertheless, I want to talk to you about a topic that is especially important for those of you wishing to pursue a career in academia, the Wissenschaftszeitvertragsgesetz, or Temporary Employment Act for Scientists for short. We mentioned it in our last episode with Farhana already. The Temporary Employment Act for Scientists is a crucial regulation in Germany that sets the conditions for fixed-term employment contracts for scientific and artistic personnel at universities and research institutions. It was created to support young academics while ensuring flexibilities for universities in their staffing policies. Let me elaborate on some key points. Firstly, it allows contracts to be temporary during critical qualification phases. For example, contracts during doctoral studies can last up to 6 years. This provides early career researchers with the necessary time to focus on their doctorate. In reality, most researchers count themselves lucky to get a contract that covers a 3-year period. Universities also check when they hire new researchers whether they have worked at other research facilities in Germany already. If your employment would exceed the 6-year limit, then they would risk having to hire you for life, if funded by their state budgetary resources. Some allow contracts that are covered by third-party research funding. Rarely permanent positions in the university's staffing plan open up. So often your research career will get complicated when you get to the 6-year mark, unless you finish your PhD in time. Once you've finished your PhD and enter the postdoctoral phase, an additional fixed term of up to 6 years is currently possible. The new coalition is currently negotiating a reform that would lower it to 4 years, and you only get an additional 2 years if your university offers a binding follow-up commitment. So please check the news for any update in these policies. This prioritization of time limits for qualification can only be circumvented by fixed-term employment within third-party funding. If research projects are funded by third parties, contracts can be extended beyond the usual maximum terms. as long as funding is secured. While this flexibility helps universities manage projects effectively, it can also lead to uncertainties for involved researchers concerning their continuity of employment. Finally, how does all of this affect the academic job market? On one hand, the Temporary Employment Act for Scientists allows universities to respond dynamically and flexibly to changing demands in teaching and research, as well as the availability of financial resources. On the other hand, the temporary nature of these contracts often leads to uncertainty in terms of long term career planning, in terms of job security for scientists. It puts a lot of pressure on young scientists to finish their PhD within 3 years in order to secure the next contract and find postdoc opportunities fast. Postdocs have less time to find a permanent position and collect the necessary career points that are crucial for their academic career, such as getting third-party funding, getting enough publications. If you want to work at the University of Applied Sciences, you also have to work 3 years within the industry. So the reality of science, such as failed experiments, false hypotheses, problems in collaborations, teaching commitments, and other requirements reflect real research conditions. However, everything must run smoothly to stay within the time frame and achieve the above-mentioned goals. For international researchers who first have to set up a lab or find their way through the bureaucratic jungle, they often lose time through no fault of their own. One could also criticize the fact that temporary positions are generally based on the assumption that fixed-term contracts promote innovation. However, fixed-term contracts generally promote those who are best able to withstand existential fears or who are sufficiently funded. Many talented people with competitive ideas drop out of science beforehand. So, if you are planning a career in academia, you have to be aware of the fact that these regulations basically set a deadline until which you have to achieve a professorship or find a tenure track position. That was our extended info break on the Wissenschaftszeitvertraggesetz. I hope these insights will help you. Thanks for listening, and until next time on Voices of Anhalt.
I think I would like to just find a job, find a good job, build a family, right?
Yeah.
Like be happy, like find ways to have a happy life.
And are you planning to do that here in the local area, or are you planning to move away from Köthen after your studies?
I'm planning on applying to all of Germany.
Yeah.
So wherever I find the best position possible, that's where I'll go.
You have worked in Colombia before for a company. Now you're working for a university. Is life in academia different than working in like the free market?
Definitely you feel it's more cultural. Like there are cultural differences, you know, like if you get sick
Yeah.
in Colombia, they think you're lying, you know? In America, they don't care. They still want you to go,
Yeah.
you know? And in Germany, they believe you.
Because we have employee protection laws.
Well, but they don't treat you like a liar, you
Yeah.
know? Like it's not like your boss is gonna treat you like, oh, tell me the truth. You're not sick. And I think that's really that's where you start seeing the differences is in the way that people treat you, in the way that they respect you for as a human being,
Yeah.
not just as a machine of production. That I think it's plays a big role and is the main difference.
Are there any challenges that you face during your work at the university?
I would say probably one of the challenges is that when you're designing a project, where you're doing a project with the university, as a student, you have someone that will guide you. Like a professor will tell you, okay, we're gonna build this machine and you have to start this way. But in these engineering jobs, they only tell you, we need a machine that does this.
Yeah.
And you have
You
to
have
build,
to figure out the way to get there.
you have to figure out how to build it, what's going to be the timeline, like how much time do you realistically need to build this machine. There's nobody telling you like, okay, the first step is going to be this. No, they just tell you do it, and then you have to find a way. So the level of independence and self decision that you
Yeah.
have to make that definitely was a bit like, okay.
During your workday, do you use a lot of your German skills as well? Did speaking German help to work in an environment with German colleagues?
It definitely helps to communicate, but also to understand each other in other ways than just verbal. Like to understand how they think, to understand what they expect, how they expect it. And for example, in a mechanical engineering perspective, there are a lot of standards and regulations of how to design and build machines, and all of these are in German.
Yeah.
So these guidelines of how to build machines, what are the regulations?
And that's a high level of language, right? Because even most Germans would probably not understand these technical specifications,
Yeah.
and it's quite impressive.
Yeah, it's part of the job,
Voices of Anhalt. All right. At this point, we usually do a segment, and we call this our fun questions. And I've prepared some for you as well.
Okay.
This is what we call the superpower question. If you could have any superpower to help you with your work, what would it be, and how would you use it in a typical workday?
I would say to stop time.
Stop time. Okay.
Yeah, to just like stop all time.
And you would be the only one who's not affected by that superpower, and you could move like around while time is stopping.
Well, it would be it would be good if the computers would still work,
Why do you think you need that? Like to cram in more work in your day?
Well, you can just maximize everything, like everything that you want to do, you just stop time, you have infinite time to do it. And
That's so interesting because it's also the opportunity to meddle with reality. You could learn, I don't know, so many things and then use that knowledge to get ahead.
yeah, imagine if you could stop time, just learn Chinese for like
Yeah.
1-2 years, like on your own.
It's like in what's this movie with Adam Sandler? Click. You remember that one?
Well, actually, he ends up ruining his life. Although I think in the movie, he has the ability also to forward.
Yeah, to forward
To
and
forward.
fast forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to fast forward, right? It's not only that he stops time, but he also can just skip parts of his life that he doesn't want to live. I would say we can skip that power.
Okay, cool.
know?
The other one is about music. Do you have a go-to playlist or song that you usually listen to when you're like concentrated on your work?
I really like Kanye West.
Kanye West, okay, yeah.
I like Kanye. And there is this whole section of lo-fi music, which takes a genre and it slows it down or lowers the volume and just mixes it with very calm, relaxing music. Perfect for starting, It can definitely get you into a really good mood
Yeah.
for productivity.
So Kanye West and lo-fi.
Yeah.
That would be a nice mashup. They have these AIs now that do music mashups. You should do one where you mix Kanye West and lo-fi.
Yeah.
I would be interested in that result.
Actually, there are already some YouTube compilations.
One last question regarding this. We call this the career and life movie moment. If a movie was made about your life here in Germany, what genre would the movie be and who would play you in the leading role?
I think it would probably be like a documentary.
And like you're the first one to answer these questions very analytically. Like the first 2 episodes, when we did these questions, they answered like emotionally and the person you like, but you think about the actual sense of the question, like a documentary. Yes, of course, a documentary. That's genius. But who would play you in the leading role?
There's this movies called Dune.
Yeah.
Dune.
Timothy Chalamet.
I would say Timothy could do an excellent job, and I really like how he does in Doom. It's one of my favorite movies.
I've seen the first one and just recently the second one. Did you like the second one better?
The second one is amazing. I really think it's I would put it up there with like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like in that category of like great cinema.
All right. Thank you for answering these questions. We're almost at the end of our time, but I just wanted to ask you in general about your life here in Germany. Now you're a student, you're working for the university, you have future plans to stay and work in Germany. What would you say are the best things about life in Germany? And what are the things that you maybe dislike or that were not so nice that you have experienced?
Okay, so I definitely like German infrastructure.
Yeah.
I definitely like the way they build their cities, especially the old part of the cities. I really like it. I like the way that they build their systems. Like every system that you interact with, it's very well built. I really like that. I would say that's my answer of what I like the most.
Okay.
And what I don't like might be they don't have enough spicy food. Could be, you know.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to find good spicy food here in Germany.
We'll try to accommodate for more spicy food and more restaurant options, but you probably have to go to a bigger city to find something
Yeah.
that would fit your taste.
But I would say in the supermarket, if there could be like a small section where they have like really spicy sauces,
Yeah.
it would be great, you know.
Because this podcast will come out shortly before Christmas, of course, I want to ask about the Christmas tradition in your family and in your country. You've spent 2 years in Germany now. That means you spent probably like 2 Christmases here.
Yeah.
When you compare Christmas in Colombia and Christmas in Germany, what are like the biggest differences and which one do you prefer?
I have to say that Christmas in Colombia is a lot crazier. you know?
Crazier?
Yeah, crazier. Like the whole December Christmas in Colombia just goes wild. But Germany, it does really well with the Christmas markets. Like
Okay.
it looks really nice. Like the atmosphere of Christmas market is just really nice. I really like it, especially because it's cold.
Yeah.
Like there are warm drinks.
Well, not today, but
I know, but in Colombia, Christmas is 23, 24 degrees, So
yeah.
it's like warm. But the people in Colombia, the way that they celebrate in Colombia, definitely I have to give it to them.
Okay.
So I miss Christmas. During Christmas time, I miss my country.
Yes, Germany has a lot of like traditional things, but of course, our heart is usually where we are from, so I can totally understand that.
Do you know raclette?
Yes, of course.
Oh, it's amazing. I really like
I
it.
think raclette is Swiss, not German.
I don't know, but I tried it for the first time here in Germany.
Yeah.
Good. I like it. Approve.
Our listeners, now you know that raclette is a famous dish that you can have on Christmas in Germany. All right, Sebastian, one final question before we close our podcast for today. Our international students is always interested in some recommendation and advice that they can get. What would you, you're almost done with your studies, what would you recommend to a student that starts out and plans a long-term future in Germany from your own experience? Like how can they make it here in Germany?
The language is very important. They should definitely improve their language skills.
Yeah.
And they should study things that are employable. Like the market is changing a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of jobs that we have nowadays will no longer exist. And a lot of people, many times people study the things that they want, the things that they find interesting. But if you want to find a job, somebody needs to need you. Like somebody needs to need the skills that you have. And many times, especially with the changing market, like the people, I don't know when people will be listening to this podcast, but the jobs that we have nowadays might not exist in the future, especially with AI, especially with the changing economic system that we have at the moment. I think that it would be very, very important for people to just learn and get skills that cannot be replaced by AI, and that will ensure them a successful career in almost any country.
Thank you for that. And we can help with that as part of the FITTER program, where we have workshops and lectures, recommendations on improving your employability. Thank you very much for being here today. That was a very nice conversation. I wish you and our audience out there a Merry, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. When you hear this, you will be experiencing Christmas soon. This was our last episode for this year. We're looking forward to meeting you next year. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody, and les deseo una feliz Navidad y un próspero año nuevo.
Voices of Anhalt. Voices of Anhalt is a podcast produced by the International Office of Anhalt University of Applied Sciences. If you would like to find out more about the International Career Service or our FITTER project, please write an email to fitter@hs-anhalt.de. Talk to you soon.